New York City looking for Umi and Akeem. If you see either one of them, tell them to come to the Waldorf Astoria immediately.
Are you laughing at my head rail?
We are Brian Lipinese Cleckley. Our Marriage Rocks, OurMarriageRocks.com, Our Marriage Rocks at Facebook, Our Marriage Rocks on Twitter, Our Marriage Rocks in your Walmart, coming to a Walmart near you.
Our Marriage Rocks all together. That's why, because Our Marriage rocks. It does. Ha! I did it. Technology. As I have a big stain on my shirt. Okay. Wonderful. So
we're here tonight. This is day 2 of our 5-day intensive on how to love your spouse better.
Yes.
Yesterday, our friend Veronica was with us, and we talked about clarity, making sure that you understand how each other speaks, what each other's language style, what each other's love language is. And we had a few minutes that we talked about love languages and how to determine what your love language is, a la Dr. Gary Chapman and the 5 Love Languages Challenge. If you have not heard of it, or if you have not do it, we strongly and highly recommend that you take a few minutes and do that for your spouse and for your marriage. But that was yesterday. We will have it up on all of our various social media platforms for you to review and go over. Today, we're moving forward with the second C of this week's program, this week's intensive, and that second C is
communication.
Thank you, Joffrey.
I thought you did the pause for me.
Oh.
No?
Communication.
Communication. Woo! We're going to talk about communication. I'm the talker, if you have not noticed. That is I.
I talk very well.
No, you do. You speak well, but I talk more.
She talks more.
So we're going to be talking about communication today. And there's a few things we're going to hit, which is fighting fair, body language and tone of your voice and different things like that, and even words and speech that you say when you're communicating with your spouse. Because it is very true. You get more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. You just should. Nobody wants to have anybody to say, can you get that for me? Or would you mind getting for me? So it's lots of different things that you can do when you talk about communication. So let's jump right in and the number one thing with communication with your spouse. When you're in arguments, when you're doing everything else, and because of the way the world is, the first thing we think is a person real? Are they really being authentic with us? Are they really telling us what we need to do? Or what are they doing? But when you're communicating with your spouse, you should always assume good intent. Your spouse is not there to hurt you. Your spouse is not there to be anything but loving to you, whether they're mad at you or not. They are not retaliatory. So always remember when communicating with your spouse is good intent. They want the best for you, even if it's not something that you want to hear, or they may not be saying it the way that you want them to say it. Let's always assume good intent.
And I like that as well. That's good intent, assuming good intent, I should say. Is something to consistently keep in mind when you're communicating with your spouse. Fact of the matter is, you didn't intend to marry Beelzebub. And
he's not really, or she's not really Beelzebub.
And she's not really Beelzebub. She wasn't that person when you met her. She wasn't that person when she walked down the aisle. Chances are she's not that person now. So if you hear something in your spirit from your spouse, and it doesn't sound like something that your spouse would say, that your wife, your boo would say, always take a minute and say, okay, what was her intent? What could she have possibly been trying to say? Right. And even if you got to ask her, hey, did you really mean for that to sound like you want me to get in the kitchen to bake you a pie? That's not a very nice thing to say, right, unless you really like pie.
Like you do?
Like I do. But again, it's always assume good intent. Always assume good intent.
The second thing is, don't be so quick to respond because you want to beat them to the punch. In active listening, you actually hear what they're saying, so you have to stop and pay attention. You stop, you look, you pay attention, and you concentrate on the words that they're saying. Don't assume they're going to say something. You ever been in a conversation with somebody and they're talking and the next thing is, and it's like, no, that's not what I was going to say, because you're either ready for the comeback or you think you're not going to be able to complete their sentences. Don't do that. Don't be so quick to respond. Make sure that you stop and listen and look at them or concentrate. If you can't look at them in the face, hold your head down and just say, I'm listening. Let them know that you're listening to them. Communication is far more than just words. So your body language has a lot to do with it. And the fact that you're looking at them and waiting for them to complete their thought is very mindful. And it's very important.
It is, and I get it, because if you're a quick thinker, or if you're an analytical thinker like I am, or I like to pretend that I am anyway, you're consistently trying to think about the next move or the next step, or what if you spend any amount of time with somebody, you kind of get a feel for who they are, so you kind of think you know what they're going to say. So your first inclination is to go ahead and say the next thing because you think you know what the person's going to say. Don't. Just don't. Take a second, listen. And you could be, and listening is huge because it is possible to sit and not say anything and you're being polite, but the whole time your mind is working. Slow your mind down, listen to what the person is saying, and really take a moment before you respond so that what you're answering is what they ask you.
Right. Now, the next thing we want to go is body language. So I'm going to be the body language demonstrator today to talk about body language like that and facial expressions. Did y'all see the lip? Did you do the lip again? You did. You have a lip. I'm
thin-lipped. I'm partially white.
You know what? That is not the right thing to say.
It's very true.
Nevertheless, so, and we do have a 3-year-old who's been running around, so be careful. You're going to hear a lot of different things, and one of us might get up at any moment in order to make sure that he's okay, since some of the kids are gone. But with body language, if you're having a conversation with someone, this does not convey that you want to talk to them, and with your head back or to the side.
Wow, I don't want to talk to you.
That was good acting. You need to be on Young and the Restless. So you sit and you get ready. It's almost like an interview, but we're going to demonstrate it now. I'm going to turn around. So turn around, baby. Because we're going to demonstrate body language.
We didn't rehearse this.
Because I had a slide, but I'm not going to do a slide.
What?
Oh, don't be so old. Okay. So we're having a good conversation. And we're talking. Let's make sure you're in the frame. You are. So let's talk. So you're talking to each other. So looking at each other is one thing. Why are you looking so funny?
Looking at each other.
Okay, the next thing with me is, a light touch. So I'm going to touch his shoulder. I'm going to say something like that. I'm going to hold his hand, making sure we do that. I may even look at him if you do a little lovingly or something like that. Especially if you're in the heat of an argument and you're talking to each other. One of the biggest things to deflect the argument or to get the argument so that it will kind of, just settle down a little bit is a touch. Just a slight touch. Hello, how are you doing? And you're sitting where you're ready and you're anticipating and you're looking. Now, I know you can't always face each other when you're doing it. I know. But this is one example of a good way to discuss something. If you're sitting side by side, still having yourself open and ready, sitting back, more relaxed, ready, legs apart, you're not closed off, you're open. It's like you're open and ready to receive the blessings and ready to receive whatever they have to say. So posture, arm placement, your facial expressions, all of that goes into communication. So if your spouse ever tells you, why you gotta look like that? They really are seeing something that you may or may not be trying to convey. But don't do it. Let's keep it in. You got it, but you want them to hear what you're saying. So let's work on that sort of thing. So now we're gonna go over tone. You wanna do tone or want me to do tone?
I don't know what you're talking about.
That tone. See, I don't know what you're talking about. He was flat. He knows what I'm talking about.
But I'm always flat. But tone is very, very important. You probably don't want to talk to your wife the same way you talk to your kids. You likely wouldn't want to speak to your husband the same way, in the same tone, with the same inflections that you speak to your girlfriends. Just be mindful of where you are and who you're speaking with. Your spouse should be your number one player on your team. If I always use, I don't always, but I use basketball as a parallel for this. If you think about the way that Phil Jackson, for instance, communicated with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, like possibly the best basketball player of his generation, and the way that Phil Jackson communicated with him was at that level. The way that Phil Jackson communicated with Kobe Bryant. He didn't speak to Kobe Bryant the same way that he spoke to Lamar Odom, the same way that he speaks to some of the other young players. The coaches don't talk to all players the same way. You can't talk to your spouse the same way you speak there to somebody else. So be mindful of that. Give them the respect that you granted them when you married them. Watch your tone.
Yeah, watch your tone. Not too flat, not too monotone. You're not giving a speech. You the way that you say something, whether it's forceful or a little bit more gentle, does make a difference in what you want your desired outcome to be. So we're going to go in a little bit into fighting fair and something called the HALT method. So it's kind of a little bit of the same but different. But anyway, it all goes hand in hand. Okay? I got it right there.
Oh. You got some notes.
Going into both of those. So fighting fair. There's lots of tips, and there's actually just one class on fighting fair. I mean, the whole thing is about how to fight fair. But we're going to go over 5 of them, which is only focus on the issue at hand. Don't bring up something that happened 20 years ago that you're still mad at. You can't do that. Focus on why you're really mad and what that issue is. Now, if it's a reoccurring issue, go into the root of the issue, not the instance that happened. So if it's a huge fight because someone came in late, the coming in late is not the issue. It's the fact that they didn't respect you enough in order to come home at a decent hour. That's the real issue, is the respect portion of it. So focus on the issue at hand. Don't bring up the past, which is something I just said. Unless it's reoccurring, go to exactly what it is. Stay on topic. Address the act and the decision, not the person. So when you're saying something, it's almost, unfortunately, I'm going to have to use a children reference. You shouldn't tell kids that they're bad kids. You tell them that what they're doing is a bad thing. So you don't say you're a bad little boy. You say, little boy, don't jump off of that because you might hurt yourself. Jumping off is bad. That is the act. That is the action. You don't tell your spouse, you are a horrible person. I can't stand you. No. Husband, wife, that was a horrible thing that you did to me, and I don't appreciate it, because they're not horrible. You wouldn't have married them if they were horrible. It's what they did that was horrible. Address that. And don't attack that person. And as soon as they walk in the door, as soon as something else happens, why did you do this? How could you do this? Take a breath. Woo, woo, saw. Nobody can't do anything with all that. You need to calm it down and don't jump down their throat and have a conversation. Adults have conversations. Adults let someone express themselves and then come back. And if you don't understand, you use one phrase or 2 phrases. What I heard you say was XYZ. Is that correct? And let them say yes or no. Then say, okay, tell me again. They told you again, say, okay. So now what I heard you say, and I know it sounds crazy, but at least you know you're getting it the way they want you to hear it. And that's the most important thing.
And the flip side of that is it requires the person that's making their point to make sure that their point is really what they want to say. If you're asking somebody to reiterate what they said, if you're giving it back the way that it sounded, that person, it shows the other person that, number one, you care enough about what they're saying to ask for clarification. And it gives you an opportunity to make sure that what you're saying is what you really need. Now, I get it. These tips, it's hard because you're thinking I'm in the middle of a fight. It's going to be real hard to remember these things. But the fact of the matter is, any boxer going into the ring has some type of strategy. He's got some type of game plan that he wants to accomplish in order to win that fight. And I mean, when you're watching a fight, you're thinking, yeah, knock him out. But sometimes that's not the overall plan. You may know very well going in that you're not going to be able to knock out your wife. She's too good of a fighter. But you want to make sure.
And we are no way advocating battery. He's just using it as an example.
Please don't knock your wife out, and if you do, please make no reference to our marriage, rocks, or anything.
We will not bail you out. I'm sorry, you should know not to hit nobody.
We will deny. But you may understand that it's impossible to win an argument with your wife, but it is very possible to have your wife understand exactly what you mean. And as your wife, she likely, once she understands what you mean, she likely will give you more of what you want.
Mm-hmm. And it's all about, you don't want to get a leg up to hurt them to win or to whatever. You want them to win your point across so you will know. But in getting your point across, you must be open to fault yourself. Take responsibility and correct the issue on both parts. If you know good and well, swallow the humble pie that you did something wrong, swallow it and stop the fight. And if all else fails and you can't stop the fight, just stop and pray, because can't nobody fight when they're praying. So just stop and say, okay, hold on, you know what? I got to stop this. Lord Jesus, help us. Help us so much, because we about to fight and I'm about to knock this man out. I mean, just stop something.
If you don't believe us, read Exodus about the Israelites. If they weren't fighting, they were praying. And they would pray before they fight, but they never prayed and fight.
You can't do both at the same time.
Fight it. Yeah, that's right.
So, because you don't want to kiss them, you don't want to do nothing else, but at least you pray about it before you do it. So, one or two last things about communicating is, I don't want to say have an argument room, but have a non-argument room, which is your bedroom. Your bedroom is your sanctity. Your bedroom is where you make love, where you cuddle, where you do all kinds of things with your spouse. Don't make it a place of contention. Make it a safe haven. You got all these other rooms in your house and everywhere else. Make your bedroom a place of peace and tranquility where you go and you relax, and that's for you and your spouse. If you have children, same thing. I'm not saying kick your kids out, because 3:30 in the morning, every morning, Spencer comes running into our bed in the middle and climbs over us. But we have to get up and put him back out the bed. But
that ain't his bed.
That ain't his bed. But we are not going to, we don't argue in our bedroom, because when we finish and we finish for the night, we're not going to go to bed mad. So we have to walk upstairs and go to sleep.
Chris Rock had a skit a few years back on the show on HBO, and it was basically, it said no sex in the champagne room. And most guys probably know what I'm talking about. I changed that into no fights in the champagne room. Your bedroom has to be a place of holy matrimony, a place that's safe, a safe space, and a place that you can say things. So if you're going to have a disagreement, if you're going to have a fight, try not to have it in a bedroom. And listen, you're married. You're going to be married forever, hopefully, prayerfully. You're going to have arguments. You're going to. Some of them are going to be characterized as fights. Nobody's saying that that's not going to happen. However, you can today determine what these fights are not going to be about, what these fights are not going to include. They're not going to include physical alterations. They're not going to include going back and picking up something outside of what the argument is about today. They're not going to go include using whatever tone or talking to somebody something less than what they are.
Come on.
You can make that. You can decide to make that, do that strategy. And once you make that determination and you decide that up front before there's a fight, when the time comes for the argument, you've already established the ground rules. You've already made something great. If the goal of your argument or your fight is to win, that's not a good goal, because you might win tonight, but you're going to lose tomorrow. And prayerfully, you won't lose the whole marriage.
So let's just recap a little bit and talk about HALT. HALT is when you're getting ready to have a serious discussion. It's HALT. Do not do anything if you are hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, because those are key things that will stop you from listening. or anything else. Who wants to talk when they're hungry? When you're already angry, you don't want to have a conversation. When you're lonely, you're going to have the wrong result. And when you're tired, you're just not into it. So before any serious conversations, make sure that you don't do that before, and make sure your timing is there, that you are not hungry, angry, lonely, or tired.
Because honestly, when you look at those words and those emotions, those feelings, if you're doing something while almost anything, while you're any of those things, chances are something's going to come out less than the way you wanted it to, or more is going to come out than you intend to. You're going to eat more than you should have because you were hungry and you went to the grocery store and now you got $300 worth of groceries.
I know, right?
Or you're angry and you're trying to talk to your child about doing his homework and now the baby's crying. You're feeling lonely and you can't find your spouse and you said something that's inappropriate to somebody in the street. So those are those 5 emotions. Yeah, it's cute. It says "ho," but HL says 4. Okay, all right, grammar teacher, whatever. But it makes sense. Though those are emotions. Those are feelings that if you're in the midst of feeling tired, if you're in the midst of being hungry, go ahead and handle that within yourself first before you try to handle anybody else.
Right.
That's a free one for me.
So let's go over just a few more tips because it's all going to be in your email. If you are at the Love Better Now Challenge and you signed up for the emails, that's www.lovebetterNowChallenge. You will be able to get the recap, get the telecast, and then get all of the information and be a part of our grand prize winning kit where you get a robe and some slippers and some other different things for you and your spouse to use. But make sure when you're communicating that you assume good intent, that you don't respond too quickly. Watch your posture, your tone. Make sure you don't have any discussions that are serious if you're hungry, angry, or lonely. Fight fair. Focus on the issue at hand. Don't attack. Discuss. Be open to fault. Don't do it in the champagne room. There's no fighting in the champagne room. And then also, if you don't understand something, use that phrase, what I hear you saying. You know, these are just a few communication things that you need to go over so that you can love your spouse better. So let's get to your homework. So tonight you have homework that you have to do. The first thing you got to do is carve out between 30 minutes and 1 hour to have a conversation with your spouse. A true conversation without interruption, no electronic devices or anything like that. Maybe some music or something, but you're going to talk to them. And I have 2 conversation starters that I want you to at least answer within this 30 minutes. You can talk about anything else, but these are 2 that you have to ask. The first one is, do I make it difficult for you to be the best husband or wife that you can be? If so, how? And then the second one is, what is the best way for me to help you be your best self as my husband or my wife? So those are 2 questions that you must ask. If you go to your email, you will see the Love Map worksheet, which has a lot more questions and a lot more topics that if you can't find something to talk about, that they're in there and they don't have much to do with kids or bills or work or anything. It's about stuff like, you know, tell me your dream. What's your scariest point? All these different things. But 2 that you have to ask in your 30 minutes to 1 hour is, do I make it difficult for you to be the best husband or wife that you can be? And what is the best way for me to help you be your best self as my husband?
Tell you a secret. It's going to take more than 30 minutes.
But you're only required to do 30 minutes to an hour and answer honestly and assume good intent. Because knowing these things, it will help you reflect on yourself, on how you can help your spouse be better. Because if your spouse is better, then you'll be better. And you may not even know that you're hindering and you think you're helping, but you might be hindering. So we're trying to get all those hindrances, clear all those things away so that the marriage can be open and ready and able to just love.
Mm-hmm. So that's it.
That's it.
Farewell from the kingdom of Zamunda.
Stop picking up my head.
We'll see you tomorrow.
And we're Nigerian.
She's your queen.
You know what? Okay. Regardless. I wanted to ask if there were any questions. Any questions before King Zamunda or King Jaffa finishes anything? Any questions?
If you think of questions, please feel free to save them or email them to us.
Email us at info@ourmarriagerocks.com. Put them in the private Facebook group under the Love Better Now Challenge. I know I've invited some of you guys to come in already. So the Love Better Now Challenge, so put them in that Facebook group and we'll answer them for you. And again, you can see it at Love Better Now Challenge and Our Marriage Rocks. And this is Shanice and LeBrian just signing off. If all hearts and minds are clear. Yep. All right. We'll see y'all tomorrow at 8:15. All right.
Bye.
So